Alright, so the purpose of this video is to walk you through the PowerPoint and give you a more detailed explanation of blood typing and blood genetics than you may get from just glancing at it. So, what we're talking about for blood genetics is going to be the human ABO gene that is on chromosome 9. Everyone has 2 copies of this. One is inherited from their mother, one is inherited from their father. Right? As far as the alleles go, there are 3 versions of the alleles for this blood type gene. You can have an A allele, a B allele, and an O allele. So this person's blood type is going to be determined by which allele you get from each of your parents. So a review of what phenotype and genotype are, because it's going to be a little bit different than what you may typically think of for blood typing. The genetic makeup of an organism is called their genotype. Their phenotype is the physical properties of an organism. So in this case, the actual alleles, the A, the B, and the O allele combination that a person has is their genotype. So you may have 2 A alleles, you may have 2 B alleles, you may have an A allele and an O allele, but your actual blood type is going to be your phenotype. So when we say, what is the person's phenotype, we're looking for you to say type A, type AB, type O, and so on. So as far as which of these genes are dominant and which of these genes are recessive, the A allele is dominant, but the B allele is also dominant. So together, the A and the B alleles are co-dominant. So if you have an A allele and a B allele, that is a co-dominant gene, and both of those are going to show themselves, okay? The O allele is recessive, which is why type O blood is so important, because it's so much harder to find. So when we write out what the genotypes are actually going to look like, it's going to be a little bit different than what you're used to seeing. The capital I and the lowercase I are what we use to represent blood type. Alright, so when you write this, big IA is going to be type A. Big IA, big IB is type AB. Big IB is type B. And little I is type O. Okay, so it's just a different way of writing it. If you have type O blood, you're just going to use little i's to represent it because it's recessive. You don't need to say which one it is, because thing about type O is being like its own different thing when you're writing these out. So let's go through a scenario. Mom has the allele big IA for blood type, and dad has the allele big IB for blood type. What will be the blood type of their child? So let's do the actual Punnett square. If you were to do this Punnett square, you would see that all 4 options are going to be big IA, big IB. Okay? Which means that the blood type for this child is type AB. Alright, so some practice. This one's a little bit different. When we read through it, you should notice that rather than being homozygous, both of the parents in this scenario are heterozygous, which is pretty important and is going to give you a different response than the previous example. So the mother has type A blood with the genotype of big IA, little I, and the father has blood type B with the genotype big IB, little I. So we want you to draw the Punnett square and talk about the possible genotypes of the children. But our main question is, what are the phenotypes of the kids? So you would do this cross and you would see what you get. So you should notice that all 4 of these are different, which means that all 4 of these are different blood types. So when we talk about the actual phenotypes of the children, they could be type AB, they could be type A, they could be type B, and they can be type O. Alright? So when we talk about blood types, the alleles we discussed code for a blood type. But what they're really coding for is a specific enzyme. That enzyme creates specific antigens on your red blood cells. Okay? You'll see a picture and it'll make a little bit more sense than me just talking it through. An antigen is a protein that sits on the surface of your red blood cells. There are two different types of blood antigens, type A and type B. If you have the type A antigen, you have type A blood. If you have the B antigen, you have type B blood. If you have both the A and the B antigen, you have type AB blood. So what this would look like is you would have your A blood right there with your A enzymes, your A antigens, which is different than your B antigens. This is why it's super important when there's blood transfusions being given that you're given the right type of blood. So here with AB, you'll see that both the blue and the green shapes are present, which is showing codominance. And then with type O, you'll see that there are no antigens on O blood cells. These antibodies help to fight off things that are foreign, which are really important, especially when you're talking about blood donations. Here's another example of what that would be like. So the red blood cell has the A antigen and it has antibodies that target the B antigen. So if you have type A blood, you're going to have your A antigen, but then your antibodies are coded so that they attack type B blood. If you have type B blood, you have your B antigens, which codes for type A antibodies. So basically, what this is saying is that if you have type A blood, you have antibodies that are going to attack any B antigens. Okay? You should notice that with type AB, neither antibody is present. But then with type O, both antibodies are present. So this is pretty important. So when blood transfusions are given, if the donor's blood cells have an antigen that's different than the recipient, those antibodies are going to attack it, which will trigger a response in the immune system that causes blood clotting, which is really, really not good if you're already needing a blood transfusion. So we'll just fill in these columns on the side, the can donate to and can receive from, because those are the most important, and you'll see this chart on a homework assignment. So if you have an antigen A, you can donate to type A blood because they have the same blood as you, and you can donate to type AB because your A antigens are already present in type AB blood. You can receive blood from A and O. Remember, O doesn't have any antigens, so O blood can go to anyone. Type B blood, you can donate to type B and type AB, similar to type A. You can receive blood from type B and type O. Type AB can only donate blood to type AB because AB blood has both of those antigens present. So if both of those antigens are present and you try to give type AB blood to someone with type A, they're going to attack the B antigens, which is not good. That's going to cause blood clotting. But the good thing about having type AB blood is that you can receive blood from anyone, which means that you are a universal recipient, okay? Type O blood, however, can donate to everyone, which is why type O blood is so important when you are when you go to donate blood and you have type O blood, they get excited because that means that you can be given to anyone. You are a universal donor. However, type O blood is also really important. If you have type O blood, you should donate blood because it's the one that's the hardest to get. Because you can only receive it from other people that have type O blood. You can't, where all the rest of these have other options, type O does not. All right? As far as the rest of the PowerPoint, we're not really going to get into any of this, so I wouldn't worry about it. Just make sure you guys email if you have any questions, or if you don't understand anything, please feel free to ask. All right? Hope this was helpful.